We are live on a Saturday edition to Dev Row Sports. I know you guys are used to seeing me in here losing my blood pressure about the Philadelphia sports teams, but it's a little bit different now. We have opened a new department, and that's the pro wrestling department here. And we like to call it the Breakfast and BodySlams here. And thanks to my man Chio Frost is sitting at the table today. Chio, good morning. How are you doing today, sir?
Good morning. I'm not usually up this early on a Saturday. I'm usually sleeping in, but since you gave me the invite, I decided to answer my alarm clock as it goes off for once.
I find that surprising because knowing you're a veteran who's probably been traveling all over the world, you're probably used to getting up, hitting those long road trips, travel from coast to coast or wherever you may be traveling to. I figured you'd be up and, you're an early bird man. That's how I kind of picture you.
Like, as anyone has ever taught in this business that you want to be early and on time. Right. So yeah, it became a fundamental for me, and I teach my kids that, and anyone else, like, be there early, because if you're like on time, exactly on time, then you're actually late.
Right.
So be early, then you're on time.
Yes, I totally agree, Dennis. You and I have squared. We locked up plenty of times in the squared circle. How you doing today, Mr. Dennis Reaper? What's going on, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I'm enjoying a day off from work.
That's
I
good.
install closets for rich people.
I see that. I see your handiwork on the side. So, but I mean, I'm surprised you're not putting somebody through those things.
Yeah. My job loves it. They make fun of me every day. So they want me to
hurt people.
They do. But,
I gotcha.
But no, I'm good. I'm enjoying the break from wrestling right now. Like, my body's healed, but I'm ready to get back. But you said, we've been in the squared circle against each other plenty of times.
Now, the one thing about the promoter that he enjoyed you and I working, because you and I worked tight. And if people don't know what that means, me and you pretty much beat the crap out of each other, and the fans enjoyed it.
It's old school.
It's old school. If we can't sell the move, if it's not being sold, so you and I would really lay into one another and hit each other, and the promoter loved having you and I work each other. So,
oh god, yeah, I remember Shatter, because that was the promoter that was doing the bookings for SWO for Wolfman. I remember that day getting there, because we were just discussing that, showing up, and it's like, hey, you're in a triple threat match against Frankie and some new kid. We're like, all right, cool.
And we want to beat the crap out of him.
Yeah, so, we did beat the hell out of him. That was a lot of fun.
Yes.
I won't lie, but it was fun when it was just me and you, because,
we've been around each
everybody
other.
Expected what we were going to do. We weren't going to sugarcoat it or throw little light punches and kicks. Like, I'm going to hit you, you're going to hit me, and we're going to make it legit.
The promoter at Triple WA, I forget the big tall guy. His name was Paul something, but he loved having you and I say, look, that stuff looked good. You guys are on next week. That stuff looks good. I'm going to have you guys on next time. That's and that's what it became the norm. I pretty much don't know anybody how to work anybody else besides you at Triple WA.
Yeah.
Now, but coming to the legend in the room, the man who's been at the WWF, the WWE, however you want to call it, the Monster Factory. I mean, the guy
group out there.
Yes, the man who's been all around the world. Jeff Kempe, how you doing today? Did I get that right, or did I butcher that? Because I usually butcher names.
You did butcher it. It's Jeff Grippley.
There you go. So now Jeff, you tell us from your experience in the pro wrestling world, what's it been like, and what have you seen, and give us some intake from the old school WWE/WWF days.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of changes in the business throughout the years. I mean, when I started, I was one of the originals at the Monster Factory. Me and Bam Bam Bigelow more or less trained together. And then we had guys like Chris Candido and Raven, and all them guys showed up onto the scene then. And like I said, when I started wrestling, I started doing TV for Vince with the old WWE, and doing AWA for Vern Gagne and stuff, working with the NWF. And like I said, I pretty much if you name the organization, I have probably been there. Yes.
Now, what's it like in those locker rooms? I know they're different from the indie scene. So what's that like when you first show up to a WWF, WWE locker room? What's that like? What's it like to be around Vince and all that stuff?
The first couple times, I will admit, it was kind of scary. It was intimidating, because I mean, here I was a couple of years ago. I was a fan. I was sitting at home watching on TV. Now I'm sitting next to them in the locker room. They're coming up, shaking my hand and stuff, and it's like, wow, it's like it was an incredible feeling. It was a great experience.
Now, did you start at the Monster Factory? Where did you start your schooling at?
My schooling was with Larry Sharp at the Monster Factory, and at the time, him and Buddy Rogers had it, and we were training at an old airplane hangar in Mount Holly, New Jersey.
Okay.
So, I actually still have one of the original business cards because it was called Champion's Choice, aka Monster Factory. I do have one of the original business cards, which I want to give to Danny Cage, who is running the Monster Factory right now. And I just want to put out there, he is doing an excellent job with training up and coming wrestlers.
Yeah, I've seen Danny Cage's work. One of my close friends, Shaheem Ali's over there a lot. Me and him, another one, like to go at it once and twice a year. The man pretty much put me out of my wrestling career when I caught him off a crossbody. I got laid out. Of course, my the move was off. I couldn't tuck my chin in time, and my head hit the back of the mat. Next minute, I'm in Northeast Philly. The next morning, I'm in Ambler, PA, in my wife's bed. I said, "How did I get here?" They said, "You drove her." I said, "I don't remember that. I just remember the accident and then me waking up there." So that's a little bit in my wrestling career. But I want to know, Chio, the man I stood next to for many years at the BWO locker room.
Yes.
Where did you start your schooling at, and what's it been like for you with the wrestling journey?
I guess we have to go back to, I'm going to say, to get my first itch was, I met an individual. He introduced me to Dio's Dungeon. But that's not where I started my training. I was more like a hang around guy. I hope at the events. I watched the school, the gym and stuff. Once they, I guess, had their parting ways, and then Jeff here was one of the owners. He got into business with the Godfather of professional wrestling, Damian Kane, and they opened up BodySlams, Muscles and More in Reading, PA. And that's where I initially started my training. That's where the school I graduated from as well. And where I had my very first match they also ran AWF All-Star Wrestling Federation. It had I would say a 2-year run, but what they did there was phenomenal, which is what, like, when you see nowadays, a lot of schools are opening big school venues where they can run shows in there. That's pretty much what they did there. They had bleachers in there. They had a gym in there. They had everything what you wanted except parking. Parking was the hardest thing of all for the people. But at the time I didn't drive, so I didn't worry about it.
Right.
But other than that, like to this day, I always give great praises to Jeff.
Thank you.
And to Damian for helping me get into business. Because if it wasn't for them, and them opening up BodySlams, I don't know where I would be. I'd probably be probably locked up, maybe I'd probably be getting in trouble, whatever. But like as many other people said before me, wrestling saved my life.
I still actually have the BodySlams license. I still have it to this day.
Now, I mean, like I said, I was 2 years in the business at the time. That's when you and I have crossed paths. I started at the Bundy School at DWF, and Bundy was a great businessman. He was strict. He was strict on his students. He made us run drills. I mean, kids today probably don't know what a drill is. They're setting up a ring, sitting, doing security, watching the shows. I know you got the itch to get in the ring, but no, you have to sit, sit a few shows and watch the guys and learn from them. Johnny Greco, Tommy Force, those guys.
Tommy Force, he's one hell of a guy.
Yes.
Till this day, I would say I wish I had another match with him, because when the first and only time that we ever worked, it was phenomenal. For me, it was like one of my favorites. And I think we could have ran a nice program together. And this was out at DTW in Violent, New Jersey. It was, like I said, Tommy, if you're listening, hey, one more time, bro. One more time.
I'll send him the link. He'll watch it. So, and Tommy was a great guy, but again, that DTW roster was hard to make, because I want to get on that show in the worst way, because a couple of my buddies were on, Angel Gonzalez, Tommy Force, Joey Spays. You guys were on that show.
And here's the funny thing about DTW, what people don't realize. When everybody wants to run their companies, They always want to be number one. Everybody always want to say they're the best wrestling out there and this and that. Here at DTW, a lot of what they did was the guys that people clowned on, that they wasn't given opportunities to, DTW, they took those guys, they took those leftovers, and they gave them a platform, to showcase their stuff. Then after the guys start getting over with the crowd, and we didn't really bring in names. It was like maybe a couple names here and there, but the fans actually came to see the guys that were working though, and the crowd grew. And it was phenomenal that when these guys actually had the opportunity to showcase and show what they can do, then those other companies start calling them to get bookings. And that's the problem when people want to run, they want to run a show, they want to run a school or whatever, and they get a big head and they think, hey, what do you got to offer me?
Right. And one thing I loved about DTW is that there was no belts. There was no belts. There, you were just on the show and that's was the beauty part. Because I was like, well, who's your champion? When I first got there, they said there are no belts here.
We went 5 years with no champions at all. Actually, I went back and I found a lot of the DTW footage that we recorded, because a lot of the stuff was recorded by no lie, me and JoJo. We did a lot of the production stuff there. His wife and his brother-in-law did the filming.
Mm-hmm.
We sat behind. Before we did live commentary, I was doing commentary solo, so I'm changing my voice. People didn't know who the hell I was, but we're doing all this stuff here in his basement, just like how people say, "Hey, we got the studio basement." Well, I still got a studio basement. And he's flipping back and forth with a channel flicker, like the poor man's version, and he's queuing me up, do this, do that, talk about this. I'm like, okay, and I'm like hyping this up, and I see what Joey Styles went through being a solo artist, commentating a whole show. It is horrendous. Yes. It's hard on the voice. And I commend him and anyone else out there who does commentary for a live event or anything by themselves. Kudos to you, because I don't know how you did it. Like I still don't know how I did it, but luckily eventually we had guys like Jaden and Frankie G. God rest his soul. Like he left us. He was a great guy, a good ring announcer. With them two on commentary, it was phenomenal.
Right.
Hey, guys, I want to jump in here real quick, man. We got a question here from Facebook. I want to make sure I get these comments in. We got one from Al Safiri. If I butcher your name, my bad. Who goes to the table first? That's the question.
Who goes to the table?
Who goes through
the table? Oh, that's going to be me. That's definitely me.
How do you guys decide who goes to the table? I'm thinking is what he's asking.
Okay, well,
maybe me because I'm the old guy.
Well, no. I don't think I ever argued. I remember being in matches where tables were involved, and I was like, I'll go through it.
Yeah, I've been through many of them. Yeah,
we had to flip coins in matches for me, and the guy I faced like, who's going through the table? Yeah. Like, it's a table. It's one of those special moments.
I vote for the guy who left the business before us.
Oh, that's me. Now, Dennis, what school did you go to? What got you into the business? Like, how'd you get into the wrestling? I know you've been around Mark Mess a whole lot of your career. So go ahead.
My wrestling path was weird. So I was in 8th grade, I'll say. I was about to move to Florida, was at a Reading Phillies game, met Mark Mess, Troy Mess, Captain Rick Adams, Miss Dixie. A group of them at a Reading Phillies game. They told me about a school in Reading, but unfortunately I just moved to Florida. So moved to Florida, went to high school down there, was working at Universal when TNA, Impact at the time, came to Universal. Working at the theme park and being with special relations and in themes, I was the person that was allowed to give people to get VIP treatment. So like, didn't know who they were, just told, hey, you're going to do this. Met Jeff Jarrett and all them, was phenomenal. One of their trainers one of their security guys was a trainer, Rock and Roll Rouge, which he actually passed away last year from cancer, was my original trainer. And it was maybe like 2 months there. And then the school closed because in Florida, if your business name changed, you need to have a 90-day notice to the state. for you to change it. The gym didn't give a notice. The state came in there and locked the doors and said, that's that.
Wow.
Finished high school, came back up to PA, was living in Birdsboro. When I saw a sign, I was like, oh, there's a wrestling show. I wonder if I can help set a ring up. Why the hell not?
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out to be, I'm looking at the name. I'm like, why does Virus and Miss Dixie sound familiar to me?
Mm-hmm.
And I met them and I was like, why do y'all look familiar? And then that was it. That was the, 2008 was the eye opener. Like watching wrestling in person, like Impact, like being as fan friendly as it was back then was a big eye opener because I never knew wrestling was that kind of world. I thought it was just, hey, you spend $20-$30 a ticket, you don't meet the wrestlers. Like I got to meet people, I got to hang out with them at restaurants and eat dinner with these guys. Like I've started a good relationship with a lot of these guys that are now on TV still. Like some of them are retired, other ones are on TV, but then lived up here, started training, and then like I started training at it was Dio's Dungeon, but now we just call it Dungeon University with Mark and Troy Mess. But we had Ed House, we had Eddie Valentine, we had Johnny Greco, we had so many names coming there to train. Mm-hmm. Steve Carino came up there multiple times, Ricky Reyes came up there. So like training wise, I was training 4 or 5 times a week. Right. In 6 months, I was ready to have my first match, which my first thing I did was a manager at ACW with Twisted Tate. And I managed Bill Bain for 4 or 5 shows, and then started wrestling for Captain Rick Adams shows for charity. And then started wrestling for Triple WA. And then that's where I met you. Right. And then that's when me and you were little beat the hell out of each other for months. And then SWO. But it was, if it wasn't for Mark and Troy and, and the other names like Jimbo, then, the list of names that have come through the dungeon that have passed their knowledge on to me has been phenomenal. Like I love Mark and all them. Like no matter what the differences are, like they gave me my start. They gave me my dream. Mm-hmm. I'm now in 12 years,
wow.
If you don't count injuries, then technically like I'm 12, but if you count the injuries, if you got to take those out, then, technically you got 9.
Right. And that's the same thing with me. Like I was working after summer camp and then my buddy of mine said, hey, listen, there's a wrestling school and at the Jersey Shore with Captain Lou Albano. I gave it a call. I said, why not? And because a lot of my friends will tell you I was a big wrestling fan. So I gave a call. So I said, what the hell? I gave it a shot. And then I'm thinking I'm never going to get a call. Sure hell, Captain Luke called me up and said, hey, listen, God rest his soul. He goes, listen, King Kong Bundy, another one, God rest his soul, has a school closer to you. Why don't you give him a shot? Give him a call. So I called him up. And at the time, I was hanging around with Mike Thorne, which I advise. Got to be careful hanging with that guy. Scotty Ice, Dr. Ice, whatever you want to call it. And Dr. Ice goes, you really think Bundy's going to give you a call? Next day, Bundy gave me a call and said, come on down, show me what you got. What do you want to do? And, and then he showed me the ropes. I mean, like I said, businessman to a trainer. And then he had, like I said, at the time he had Johnny Greco, another one. I mean, he really was crisp with his old school psychology. I mean, he was just so crisp with it. I mean, the timing, the moves, like he really showed me the old school ways of professional wrestling. And I just loved it. And then like, I just want to do, like, obviously you want to do when you're a fan, you want to do what you see on TV. But no, it's like pump the brakes, learn the craft, learn it old school. And they said, whatever you do, let the veterans tell you what to do. Because if you're one of these guys who are going to go in there, open your mouth, you're going to get your mouth closed one way or another. And I said, okay. They said, listen, follow the ratio. You got 2 ears, 1 mouth. Keep it that way. And that's the way I kind of, was into the business. And then, further on, and then obviously Doc Diamond took over, Bundy's Federation. And then I kind of moved on from, Doc Diamond's a heck of a nice guy. Nicest guy in the world. I'll give him that. But then, like, I started working with ACPW a lot and doing a lot of shows with them, with, the Crash Crew, Charles, Kwame, Chris Sutton, Marty, Shaheem, and Rob. And that's when we became more and more like that was more of a family. And Patch, I can't forget Patch and Breaker. Those guys are more, it was like more of a family locker room. Like we talked about, life outside of wrestling. I mean, it became more of a, like we knew each other, like go out to a bar or whatever. You want to go hang out or you want to go to dinner or restaurant, whatever the case may be. I'll try, help you try to get like a real serious job, whatever the case may be. But we became, like I said, that was more of a family kind of a deal. And one thing about Charles, he said, listen, you guys think you're a superstar. step outside this locker room. I don't want it. And there's a story with one superstar. I'll talk to you off camera about that we had an issue with, but that's for a later time.
I think
but,
we've all had an issue with somebody one day in time.
But,
And
yeah.
Bundy's a
now,
really
fellas.
great guy. I actually got to wrestle him when I was in the WWF. Later, we talked to each other. I came to find out he was also trained by Larry Sharp, who trained me. And like I said, by getting to talk to each other, and I was working in Atlantic City at the time. So we actually got to become good friends and hang outside after, outside of wrestling. We went out to bars and stuff. We would meet up, go get something to eat or whatever. So, I mean, he's a really good, upstanding guy. You mentioned Captain Lou. He actually managed me on quite a few wrestling shows, on the independent scene as I was doing tag team matches. So,
wow, that's good.
So.
That's good to let now, guys, I'm going to shift gears a little bit. You guys have now seen, we're here to talk about the product at current state. There was a pay-per-view that went down. The Elimination Chamber, Miz comes out the champion. Are you guys a fan of the guy's work? And what was your take right there, Chio? I'll start with you. What did you take of the Miz going over for the belt?
Okay, I kind of seen that coming.
Really?
Yeah, because we were in that chat room.
Yeah.
I was in the beginning. I was never a big fan of Miz's.
I'm with you.
Not until he had his very first big WrestleMania moment, and I don't mean working a Mania match in general. Just when he had his very first main event, win the title, or he kept the title, whichever the situation was, I can't remember. But when he had his first big main event moment, I literally applaud him. I'm like, okay, he's gaining my respect because there's a lot of guys out there who just like somewhat walking a bit. I'm like, and then after I did a little research, like I seen he did some independent stuff. It wasn't to my knowledge, but other people knew about it already. I didn't. But after I seen him, he did work the indies for a while, and that's what a lot of us ask. They're like, okay, put that grind in, because nowadays when you see guys who are just going to the Fed, as we called it growing up before, like, but now with the big machine, now that what it is, got guys that are talent that are just walking into their training facility. It's great. They have everything to their needs to teach them and this and that of how they want their product. But a lot of us who did the grind on the indies, we look at it as like, really, dude? I'm like, the only reason you're getting there because of whatever status, and the status he had, what I interpreted at the time was him being on that the real world. Yeah, because he had that the Hollywood status somewhat.
Yeah.
Just like now, you got guys right now who are training who have a star-studded status that we probably seen his tweets online saying he don't want to talk to nobody if you haven't worked for WWE or if you haven't been on a pay-per-view or held the time. I'm going to say Bow Wow.
Right.
He's out there training with Rikishi. Hey, that's great. Cool. You're getting that training, but you know what, dude? You haven't really been in this business, so you shouldn't be talking to anyone like that. I'm like, to me, his music wasn't all that great anyway. So then to come in here and say, to turn his nose above anybody else who've been busting their ass for like the last 5, 10, 20 years, whatever, that's kind of like a slap in the face though, really. I'm like, hey, yes, I understand it's entertainment. It's all about your likes and stuff, what you get on your social media platforms and stuff. But going back to the Miz, hey, I think it's great. Like I seen it coming. Sometimes things, what they put out becomes too predictable. Sometimes things is rehashed that's done before that you can see coming again. Here's a couple things I missed out on, but him definitely, I like the fact that he is the champion again. I can work with that. Unlike some other people, I can work with Miz being the champ. I respect his work and what he put in from so far between that Mania moment to now. He progressed so much. He put the work in. Now he's one of those.
Right.
Like he said, he's an A-lister. He's there.
He has
there.
good mic skills.
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I cannot knock him for anything he's doing right now.
Yeah, you know what? I want to go feed off that because when I was like, when I first saw the Miz, I'm thinking this dude's just he won the tough enough thing, and he got his little shine, whatever. But you got to remember, like the WWE is going to pick guys who they thought has some good indie work in the back. Their background, and you know what, they're going to give that guy a shot. I mean, granted, the older score guys, like you say, you know what, I've been doing this for 20 plus years. This guy's getting a cakewalk to come to WWE. That's not fair. But like I said, I guess it's the new WWE now. So I guess you got to kind of, I don't know if you have to work with that or it is what it is. But Dennis, what was your take on the Miz becoming the champion?
I was stoked. I won't lie. I've been a fan of the Miz since the real world. Just because the old school way is having character, having that it factor. Like he was the Miz on the real world. He didn't try to portray anybody else. That was him. And his goal was to be in the WWE.
Right.
So watching him transform from reality star to professional wrestler. And when he started with Vince, he didn't win Tough Enough. He got signed after Tough Enough.
Right.
So it wasn't like he had to do anything. He had to go through all the ropes that we all had to, the old school way. Like we had to work our way to get there.
Right.
So like before he was wrestling, he was doing Sunday Night Heat, and he was just walking through the stage, through the fans, talking on a microphone. That's all he did. Then he got the opportunity to wrestle. So seeing him wrestle is like awesome. And in my opinion, and it might sound cheesy, but it is awesome. Like he's literally shown everybody, like, if you want to follow your dream, follow your dream. He's done everything the right way. Yeah. He has the dream girl. He has the dream job. He has the dream ability to do whatever he wants to do. He has 2 other jobs besides WWE that are on the side. And it's like, I see people knocking him. And it's like, okay, I get why they're knocking him because it is the Miz. He was on MTV. Congratulations. But where is he? And look at us. Like,
isn't he past that though? Let me jump. I want to just jump in there because I'm a Miz fan, right? I'm actually a Miz fan, and I think that he is, if not the best, or in the top 3 best on the mic. Like I don't think
100%.
I don't think anybody can stick with him on the mic, especially on the fly. His cadence, his timing, everything about what he does on the mic, I think is just great. Now, from a wrestling standpoint, he's consistent. He's very consistent. You don't really see him botch much. He doesn't do too much, but he doesn't botch much at all. He's very consistent. I think that match with him and Shane in WrestleMania kind of showed a little bit of his toughness, that he's willing to take a big bump, a big spot. But what I want to ask you guys is that with what his body is work, and I heard you, Dennis, bringing up the MTV. Well, what is he, a 10-year vet in there?
I think he's almost 15 now.
That's tough.
He's got to be coming close to 15 now.
So why do people still bring that up? Like, hasn't he done the work?
It's because it's not their fan favorite. That's the problem. If you're not the John Cena, if you're not the Undertaker, the Shawn Michaels, the Rock, but they look at you differently because he came from a reality TV show. He didn't come up from, I love The Rock and I love Austin. And I'm a huge Taker fan. But he wasn't that. He wasn't one of those guys.
His spot was handed to him because of his celebrity status.
And it's exactly what.
And the thing is, for everyone to go back to that, it's their go-to card.
Yes,
that's what it's like.
It's the same thing with Cena. Like Cena is the golden goose. No, Cena's a workaholic. He busted his hump for that role. Yep. How many times have you seen Cena get hurt? A lot. How many times did he come back and do exactly what Vince wanted? How many times have you seen The Miz get hurt? I think 2 times in his 15-year career.
I think one of the main things that puts Cena over is, I'm not even going to say his in-ring work or his mic skills or this, that. It's all the charity work he does.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
He's 100%. Cena is without a doubt one of the greatest wrestlers inside and outside the wrestling business.
From my understanding, he's like number 1. He did the most ever.
By a long shot.
You saw the guy. He goes out during a pandemic, goes out to go see a kid in cancer. I mean, the guy does so much. But go back to the Miz though. Like like Nate was saying, it's just like, I guess people don't see he don't have the big body. He's not, like your John Cena cut out kind of guy. I mean, like you said, when he first started, he didn't grow up, but the guy's got great mic work. I mean, the whole Hollywood deal where he's telling the crowd he's over. I mean,
I think the biggest time when Miz was over was his baby face turn.
Really,
when his baby, that's when everyone took to him. Then, it's easy to to love the baby face if you give them, the fans, what they're looking for. Look at the whole Jake Roberts, Rick Rude scenario.
Yeah,
when with Robert's wife, he was heel. Stuff went down between Robert's wife and Rude. Out comes Roberts for the save, and Robert's babyface then.
And that's one great mind in the wrestling business.
Yes.
One Jake Roberts.
Yes.
Now let me ask you, Jeff. What, like, as a guy who's has got the most knowledge here, what would have made for the Vince to make that move to say, you know what, I want to go with Miz to be the next guy for a good while? What's the game plan behind all that?
Well, you need to see who is best for your company to push it and take it into the future, take it into the next generation that's coming up of viewers, the younger fans, and you need to push the guy, put him over big like that. Sometimes you need to make changes in the character, make little tweaks or adjustments, just anything you can to get him over with the fans, especially like I said, with the way things are going with the pandemic. You're going to see a new generation of wrestling coming back now.
Yeah.
So.
Because, and it's like a lot of people always tell me like, oh, well, I missed the late '90s era wrestling where they had The Rock and stuff. They don't make guys like you and I, all of us been in a super in a shop, right, or something, grocery store, at a gym or whatever the case. The guys go, well, I miss the old school wrestling. And I see, they made it kind of a PG show now for the younger guys. They're trying to bring it back, but to me, it's like they don't have the, I guess, what, everyone figure out, let's be honest, the roid area, or if you want to call it, they want to cut that out, and they're trying to get guys to hit the gym hard. They try to now make it more, not so more gimmicky, but more like a professional athlete. Like they want Chio Frost.
Well, what you got to look at though, nowadays, it's not just the body of work though, too. If they want to make that individual their go-to guy, is because back then guys were more consistent of what they did and what they made fans believe, this and that. Nowadays, if you want a guy to be your go-to guy on the mainstream in this day and age with social media and everything, you got to watch out of how what you got to worry about is how toxic that person is though beyond the screen. Okay, social media can do damage. Then you got to take the title off your guy. You got to find someone else to put in that place. You got to, you got all this stuff to take in, where guys nowadays, like how we always say, we miss the days of kayfabe. Kayfabe's dead because of Vince and all that and this and that. I'm like, I'm one of those guys in the grocery store that says, hey, I miss the 90s. I miss this. I miss that. I miss the gimmicks. I miss, like Dukes the Dumpster, Drosy. I miss Doink the Clown. I miss characters. I miss characters. I mean, like especially for the children, the kid. Once you get the kids, you get the parents. Yes. But if you're constantly pushing the edge of where like some parents may not want their kids to see, well then okay, well if you're not letting your kids see, then there goes some of your fan base. Right.
And now it's funny you were saying about the gimmicks, because one of my gimmicks that I portrayed at SWO and Triple WA, like ACPW, I had a whole different, I was Frankie Frizzo, this guy, a hardworking kid, coming up. But when I worked at SWO and Triple WA with their fan base, they're more old school. So I knew like it's where like the Philly area fan base is more in that hardcore wrestling, strict wrestling. They want to see wrestling, blah, 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 in a unique way, where if you go to like a southern states where, or something where wrestling's their only thing going out there. I did a show, like usually I come out with the gold tights, and my gimmick was to just jokingly dance with like if you're sitting with your wife, I would come dance with her just to make you angry, get in the husband's head, and I was with my wife, like she used to laugh and crack up. Like I used to have people like here with me, one to hit me, one, threaten me. And I, back then I'm like who was it? Adrian Bliss was the promoter at the time. He would run up to me after a show and go, "Dude, you were great." He's like, "Listen, I want to give you the strap." Blah 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 blah. I said, "Dude, look, the only strap I wear about is the one I wear to work every day.
Yeah,
Monday through Friday. I can carry. I don't need. Thanks, but anyway, whatever you want to do. Look, I'm just here to do my job. I'm here. Look, I'm going to work the fans. And that's what. But sometimes you've noticed as a legend, if you're working as a heel so good, you're going to warn that heel's going to warn up turning face because the fans.
Yeah.
So now, like going back to the Miz, they got to find a way for him to. They're finding ways for him to stay heel because he's over, and you've seen the hot chick magnet. That's over. So now they're trying to figure ways. Now he tells the crowd silence. They love it. So they're trying to keep him.
The one thing I feel bad. I think we talked about this before. Is them bringing back John Morrison. Now it seems like he's playing like Mrs. Lackey, his role when the guy can work his ass off.
Right.
Yeah.
I honestly I can see a babyface turn for him.
Right.
And him.
It's gonna come. It's gonna be one of those where
it's obvious. It has to happen.
Like
one way or another.
Mercer was saying that this whole Miz winning the title, he's going to lose. It's not going to be a long one. It's going to go to Lashley versus Drew. I don't hate hate the idea. I really don't. I like Lashley in the title picture.
Oh, don't get us started on Lashley because we were talking about the hurt business
like
the other night.
What's wrong with Bobby Lashley?
I love the hurt business. I love the whole setup. I just think they should have gave Lashley the moment instead of the Miz. I love the Miz. I wanted him to win the title, but give Lashley his moment. Give him his dues. Don't make him have. Everybody's gonna see. Oh, he beat the Miz. If he faces the Miz, which he probably will, and it'll end up being McIntyre versus Lashley at Mania, and then McIntyre versus Lashley for the title. I would have rather saw Lashley beat McIntyre than the Miz because McIntyre has that power right now. Miz has the power too, but McIntyre was the man, and he was the guy.
When I see Lashley, he reminds me of the '98 Goldberg kind of a guy, where he's not great on the mic, but the body speaks for him. The body, he's got the big physique. He's strong. He could be the top heel if they want. But right now, all that top heel, and we're about to get into him, is one Roman Reigns. I mean, the switch there for me. You guys, chime on as well. It has been great because to me, he's been that ultimate heel that they've been missing for a long
100%.
And they underutilized him so much in the past.
Yes.
I mean, they kind of restricted him giving his full potential so that people could actually see his true talent shine.
No. I want to go to you too, Jeff. What makes a switch there where, I guess they're running ideas he's not getting over his face. He's not getting over his face. What finally clicks into Vince's head, or I guess now Triple H's head is going, we got. When's the click saying, no, let's just make him heel. It didn't work for Cena. Let's try and make him heel.
And even if you do switch him over, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work too. I mean, it goes back to you got to have the right gimmick, the right storyline. You have to have the right presentation to get him over with the crowd.
Right, and you see it now; it's working. Yeah. I mean, every time he's on there, the fans on the Zoom are just booing away. Mm-hmm. I mean, I love it. I think it's great. Him sitting there with this, bad mentality. Him and his cousin. I think it's great. Chio, what are you seeing? I
think the key factor that got him to that heel status that he has now is Paul Heyman.
100%. Yes. I agree 100% with that one.
Yeah, because if they probably sat back, and Paul, he's a mastermind. He's like he can look at somebody and just like somebody who has the weakest ability in there, and he could change them just like that. Like if he needs.
He did it with Lesnar. He did it with Lesnar, and he always if you watch any of the Paul Heyman things on YouTube, he brings it up. He went to Vince, give me Lesnar.
He actually took my very first promo pictures.
Really?
Yeah, he started out as a photographer. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he actually took my very first promo pictures. I did. He actually ran a show at Studio 54 in it's a nightclub in New York. It's no longer, but it was like one of the leading nightclubs probably in the world. I mean, all kind of celebrities and movie stars would go there. And they actually did a debut for Bam Bam Bigelow there. So that was like one of my first matches. That was actually before I got into like WWF and all that stuff and AWA doing TV for them. But yeah, that was up in New York. And then after the matches, we went to the VIP room. So it's like I'm in there meeting celebrities and partying with celebrities. It's like, wow, it's like what's in store for me? You know, it's like, and this is the beginning of my career. It's like, wow, it's like, the world's opening up to you, you know.
Yeah, now I never had that kind of, but when it's weird. Like I did a show at the Bingo Hall, and it's like weird. Like I never worked for CZW, but I was good friends with DJ. They had a day show for like a family event or whatever. But just like walking through the Bingo Hall, it's like knowing the history behind there with all the ECW and all the. It's just like, wow, I'm here. And it's funny, like after the show we did a 6-man tag, me, Gemini and Corpse, Marty, and we did a 6-man tag working a couple of CZW guys, and they were chanting, for us, like AC, and it's weird. Like I'm like, wow, we're getting a pop down here, like that's crazy.
And the thing is, those venues aren't like. They're not like the Wachovia Center or the
small
or even
venues.
back in the day, like the Spectrum or anything like that. But I mean, the ECW, the Hamburg Fieldhouse, Ag Hall, which is the two places Vince would do his TVs, and that was before my time. I did mine up in Mid Hudson Civic Center in Poughkeepsie, New York. But these small venues, even today, the Hamburg Fieldhouse. I mean, it's especially like any wrestling historian and some of these new independent guys coming up, that get the chance to wrestle there, just sitting in that locker room saying, oh my God, I could be sitting where Andre the Giant sat or
and we're bringing up the Hamburg Fieldhouse, and I'm going to bring up the promotion. Now, Hamburg Fieldhouse is legendary. Everybody knows that building that knows wrestling. All the independent shows that have tried to run there haven't been successful.
Nope.
The one show that has been successful, and Chio can vouch for this one, is Ryan Vox and them for Outbreak Wrestling, where they started putting 200-300 people in there.
Yeah.
No other show was able to pull it off.
But you got to admit though, before Outbreak actually branched off from AXW. And AXW, we pretty much packed bleachers and stuff in that place. So it's pretty much the same company. It's just a different name. It just branched off and restarted.
And that's the beautiful thing.
Back in the day, Savoldi's, they had a group, World Class International Championship Wrestling. They merged with World Class Wrestling with the Von Erichs, and they were actually doing TV in the Hamburg Fieldhouse, like McMahon used to do. They do their whole month's worth of TV tapings. They bring all the superstars in, and like I said, I mean, and they were doing pretty good. That was another organization that actually filled the Fieldhouse up.
That's actually where I first got my really big itch for indie wrestling, is for the IWCCW, because like I said, I was on the ring crew for Deal's Dungeon at the time. And Jeff was wrestling there, and a bunch of others, and a lot of the ECW guys before ECW, and was it TWA in Philly? But before ECW, TWA. But before those ones are like stuff. I was there seeing these guys there at Hamburg. I was seeing Taz, Tommy Dreamer, Tom Chippendale Brandy. I don't know if he likes being called Chippendale.
I gotta tag him in my post.
But yeah, as far as Hamburg goes, and Dennis can vouch for me on this. Like a lot of times when we would do our speeches there, as far as the venue and stuff like that. Sometimes I would incorporate it. Of course, guys probably heard it over and over again. Me repeating myself. I said, look, Vince ran here.
Yep.
The superstars you saw on ECW, they worked here before ECW. I said, under these lights, these are pretty much almost the same lights. It's the same. They're the same locker room.
It's the same lighting on the ceiling. Like the venue has already confirmed that they haven't changed the structure. It's the same lighting in the venue from Vince's days.
And they still have the drop down mic too.
Yeah,
they have the. They don't have the mic up there no more. They have the setup's there.
The mic isn't there.
I would love the setup. I think there would have mic drop.
I think it's the same asbestos though.
It most likely is.
But yeah, like I said, I try to instill that in those guys. I said, look, soak it in. So I'm like, and if you're not a fan of the old school stuff, go back, watch it, look at the venue, and then you can go and say, hey, I worked in the same place as Andre. I worked in the same place as Hogan, Sheik, Pedro Morales, Bob Backlund, all those guys.
Like,
you know, but a lot of times guys take it for granted for us, it's historic. For guys, it's just another place to work.
And the reason that happens, and I know you'll agree with me because we've had this convo plenty of times at shows. The younger generation now, it's because training centers, and I'm not going to include the Monster Factory because I've been there plenty of times, and I know Danny Cage is far from this.
Yes.
There's training centers now that say, "Hey, give me $1,500. We're going to train."
Yep.
Yeah,
and it's a disgrace because these younger kids are thinking they're going to go and make thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we want to work your show. Like I own my own promotion now that I'm going to be starting Conshohocken. I've had people hit me up all the time. Well, we want $50. Well, what? How many matches have you had?
No,
well, like 4. No, sorry, you'll.
No, it's crazy that you say that because schools are different, and like I said, students aren't even setting up rings. Like I said, I know. Go back to square one with Bundy. It was just he was strict, man. He was, like I said, he was strict. It was good. I mean, he got wrestled. The guy showed me a lot. Like I see cats now. It's like then when I got to ACPW, and I was like, other than Slaw, because Slaw, you know, he's been around. Another guy, great guy, showed me a lot about character development out of the ACPW guys. Like he really showed me the difference between from the ring to the guardrail.
Yep.
There's got to be two different people. He said, listen, don't be that Mark over there. You're over here now. Be this guy. And like he really broke that into me. So like I said, but again, trained there. Like I was like one of their head trainers because of the knowledge of old school. Like I show guys like how to, they're like, wow, I'm like most guys just want to come out and do the like they're not even working the crowd. They're not even because like you see most guys just want to hit the ring and blah, blah. It's like guys, you know, like me, I would go around this whole room. Blah, 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 blah,
and like me, like I tell guys nowadays, like don't stick to one school in particular. It's great that you have one school that you can call your home school, but there's plenty of schools out there putting in the work that's actually, and then, but then you got your garbage school. So please, if you are tuning in and hearing us talking about schools, do your homework, do your research. There's plenty of schools out there. Like I can just name off the top of my head. Okay, like Jeff, he said Monster Factory. We got the Dungeon with the Mess Brothers. Mm-hmm. Cheeseburger has a worldwide dojo. He's in
Bristol.
He's doing great stuff down there.
You have Noxious, Fort Noxious.
Fort Noxious, Skid Row.
There you go.
You know,
Super Crazy.
That is super crazy. Yes.
I know ACPW with Tyreno and them just have their building just got done, so they're starting to train again.
I've already been asked me to come already down there. That's my man Chris. But look, I know we're just almost out of time in a little bit, so the one last question I got to get asked, and of course my dad, I know he'll be tuning in and he likes watching it. I'm with you guys. He misses the old school rivalries. He misses a good rivalry. Yes. He misses the Rude and Stings. He misses. So and I'll start with you, Jeff. What develops a good rivalry when you see two guys working and you're like, you know what, that's going to stick. I'm going to run with that. Or what builds a good rivalry in your eyes? And question number 2 is, who was your most favorite rivalry with?
I actually, the rivalries I had, I enjoyed all of them. And like I said, I can't really pick one out as better than the other. I mean, and any type of rivalry, it's the angle that you go at it towards and the heat that you generate and build up to it, because you want people coming back the next week. Mm-hmm. You leave them hanging, you leave them wanting more. That's what's going to sell tickets and put asses in the seat for the next show, because they're going to want to see what happens.
Right, right. Chio, I mean, if you have, what's your missing? Do you miss a good rivalry? I mean, is there anything a rivalry now that's drawing you, or you're just, like I said, and 2, what was your rivalry, best rivalry with?
Okay, well, ones that I missed that I actually enjoyed watching was the build up for like Hogan and Slaughter for WrestleMania 7. The other one would be between Rock and Stone Cold. Yeah, yes. They're like 2 of my favorite rivalries that I'm not gonna say it came to an end, but when it got to those particular matches, it was like you're in awe. You're like your mouth wide open, like holy crap. Now for me, oh man, for those who know me, I loved working a lot of tag team stuff.
Right.
So I had several different partners, but my main, the one that I had the most success with, was with JoJo, and
Really?
yes, and I would say it had to be down for Functified Wrestling Federation. We worked down there for a good period with JD Smooth, and it would have to be a toss up because we had so many matches with JD and Funky White Boy, as well as Hatebreed. I love those Shane, Shane Golden,
and Chuck.
Yeah, them and one particular team that doesn't get too much reference to anymore is the Gemini Trojans.
Right, okay.
And last but not least is the Nigerian Nightmares.
No, man, I worked all those guys.
Because the Nightmares, everyone literally, they had a thing where they're like, oh my God, you're working them, and they're like, they made it seem like them and the Trojans. People made like, oh my God, we're like, how can you work these guys? This and that, or stiff or scary or whatever. I'm like, we went out there, it was like nothing for us. We're like, yo, we're here to work, and that's it. But yeah, I think I can't pick one particular, but JD with FWF, they gave us some of our best matches down there as far as storylines and working back and forth. So we lost the titles, won the titles, lost the titles, won the titles. The big steel cage match with Self-Employed, that was actually really, really fun. I enjoyed that. But yeah, I can't pick one, but it was all in FWF though. It was
okay. And now a quick story though with God rest his soul, Arian from the Nigerian Nightmares. A quick story. Kwame, I'm in the locker room at ACPW show. So Kwame goes, "Who are you working today?" I said, "It's me and this guy, this backyard over here working." and literally the guy came out and said, "I'm the best backyard wrestler." He was all about himself. So I said, "Yeah, me and this backyard are going to work in the Nigerian Nightmares." Kwame goes, "Yeah, follow me." So I'm with Kwame. He goes up to Aaron and goes, "Hey, listen, take it real easy, my boy. But the other guy, you could kill him." So I go. So, in the tag match, so I'm working Aaron. Aaron must do like 2 moves with me. He goes, "All right, tag out." And he goes, "And by the way, walk out of here because you're the heel." So I said, "Okay." I saw one spin heel kick. I said, "I'm out." I said, and for a big guy, he could move.
I have to admit, I must have missed this one here because I was thinking too fast off the top of my head. Promoter down in Delaware, Sean Hardy for 1CW, he actually gave us the opportunity to work with the Briscoes, not once but twice. And we never worked them before, but we worked those 2 times, and like it must have went good the first time around. He brought us back to work them a second time. So like that there was a good experience for me. I'm not gonna say it was the best, and it wasn't a storyline. It was just the fact that he put that confidence in us for 2 big guys our size to work with guys of their caliber who've been to Japan, work Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I have to say. Throughout the years, I had the opportunity of working with guys who either been on TV or been to Japan. And I'm sure we all get the same question of, well, they're there. How comes you never went to Japan? How comes you didn't do this? How come you know? And we're like, well, my 9 to 5. Right. Yeah.
Now, Dennis, give me your favorite rivalry and what was and who was your biggest rivalry?
Favorite rivalry for me would probably be gonna have to be Taker Foley.
Really?
I loved every time they fought.
I love these unique rivalries.
It was always something different. Like you could never expect the same thing at the next fight, at the next match. It was always different, and it was what drew me in. The Rock, the Austins were always great. The Shawn Michaels and the Triple H feuds, like one of the best ones in my opinion lately. That it's been a while since it happened. It was Daniel Bryan versus the Authority. It was Triple H. He had to win all these times just to get a title match, and then won.
Right.
But for me, like my best rivalry, and he doesn't wrestle no more, I don't know, but is Mr. Saturday Night. I wrestled this gentleman, I want to say 3 times a month. Different shows all up and down the East Coast, from his promotion all the way out to WWA to not 1CW, but LVW. So like literally I worked this guy almost an entire 2 years consistently, getting my ass beat, by the way, because he was the vet and I was the greenhorn. I don't think I went home without having my back or my chest bleeding from chops.
Wow.
Literally, I think the entire match was me getting chops.
Wow. Now, see, with me, like I said, my favorite of all time, like I said, it has to be Sting and Rude. I mean, from those WCW days, it's just like they were lighting up, and the match was something different every day. I mean, great, like I said, great heat from Rude. Then, the babyface of Sting he came over, did his stuff, and then it's a Flair and Steamboat. I mean, I can watch that stuff, the old school stuff all day long. Then you go the Rock and Stone Cold. Obviously, the two goats on the mic, as people like to call them. Like, people like to say, man, can't get that mic work anymore. It's just, it's something that's branded on them. I know some guys who don't like it because people think, you should have that talent. I get the WWE rights for these guys and all that stuff. But my personal rivalry, it's like I had every promotion. SW was with you. Triple WA was with Mitch Palooza. I'll never forget. It's like midnight. Triple WA, it ran like 12 matches. So, and then they had like the hour intermission. So, like, after intermission, I'm like, dude, this is like midnight. People are dead. They're sleeping right now. I said, and then when me and my wife was my manager at the time, we did the work of me versus him, and he's the big babyface, I'm the heel, whatever. And they were popping. I was like, no way this is happening. Like, I'm thinking these dudes are going to sleep, whatever. They could care less. No, the match was popping. It was going off. And, we had a great match. Me and Mitch, like, again, they saw this. And you guys are going to work again, blah, 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 blah. And me, Mitch Palooza, now he's a rock star or whatever he's doing now. But, I mean, he was a great kid to work. I mean, he only had like 2 years. But, I mean, me and him were just, it was a good time. And then I worked Doyle Day at ACPW, did a couple matches with him. And you talk about another one. There was no, lockups. It was chops, forearms, whatever you want to call it. I mean, me and him had some, and he called the match. I mean, he called it. He said, listen, and his stuff was brilliant. And then we just went up clicking, and it just turned out to be good stuff.
Technically speaking, you were my first match.
Oh, yeah,
if you think about
that. I remember that.
Like, there is video of this. I will not tell you where to find this video, but there is video.
We'll Google
and
it.
It was Frankie Frizzo and Kwame versus me, Doyle Day, and Vinny Hoffa at ACPW in Upper Darby. Now, the greatest thing ever was I was not prepared to wrestle yet. I was still training. And Gemini and all of them came up and was like, hey, can you wrestle? And I was like, you got to ask Mark Mess. Mark's like, sure. I wore Timberland boots and jeans,
dude,
with a white beater. And then these guys were like, yo, you should put your weightlifting gloves on since you helped set the ring up. I'm like, all right. I don't think I've ever been so scared in my entire life because Kwame decided to pick me up for a gorilla press. And he's just pressing me. And then just launches me. And all you see is me swimming in air, coming to the mat. And all I get to the back is go. And everybody's like, dude, we thought you were going to die. Yeah, so did I. I wasn't ready for this.
I was that way with the Road Warriors. It's like, oh my God, here I go.
my favorite, and Kwame was another rivalry we had, me and him. So it's funny, like Charles is like, yeah, you're going to work breaker tonight. So you get the car, whatever, and we're all talking about who's working who, blah blah blah. Kwame goes, I'm working Frizzo. Charles goes, and Kwame's working Frizzo tonight. Like, he completely scratched that car, and
that really was true.
And then I was like I'm sitting there scared. I'm like, oh boy, what did I do?
It's great. I find it great. It's funny what you say. I find it great when you walk in the locker room. They have the lineup already ready, and then the vets come in like, no, I'm working that.
Yes, and then like I said, Kwame, like I said, if he loves you, oh God, it's a soft. If he didn't like you, I'm praying for you.
Look, he protected me in that match. Yeah. Like, he had respect for Mark and them, so he protected me. You protected me. Any social beat the hell out of me too that night because after the match, I rolled out of the ring, and next thing you know is Kwame grabs me, brings me back in the ring, and I got chops from hell. But it was fine because the fact that I'm green as hell. I mean, when I mean green as hell, I mean literally not 4 months in of training, and that these guys decided to allow me to be in not just semi-main, but my first match in my career is semi-main. With two guys, with all these guys have been doing this for years before me, and then take care of me and treated me like I've been doing this for 10 years. Hey, just do this, and then that's it. All right, cool. I'll never forget it. Like everybody always says, you always remember your first match. I will always remember my first match.
They like I said, back to Kwame though. I mean, he gave me a hit toss, and I went from that. What was that? Like an 18-foot ring?
Yeah.
From one side to there with easily just And I was there. I was like, holy God. I'm like, I've never been thrown like that before, besides my old man throwing me like that before.
And that ring hurt a lot.
But like I said, he was a good time. Doyle Day. Everyone knows Donnie Allen.
Yeah.
I got to work him plenty of times. I mean, Charles loved putting me and him together. Another one, me and him just solid. And then that was great. But the one I got scared about, I never got the chance to work him, thank God, was with New Jack. New Jack comes in the locker room and goes, this was up in Trenton, New Jersey. He puts his arm around my shoulder and goes, son, I'm going to take good care of you tonight. And I have like 4 drops of pee coming out my mouth. And I'm like, and I go to Chris, I'm like, I'm working New Jack. He goes, oh, no, we're going to have him beat the crap out of somebody else. Don't you worry about it. I said, thank God. So, and sure enough, the guy who's working New Jack, the guy's coming in, called New Jack. He's going to tell New Jack, blah, 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 blah. I'm going, oh, boy. And then here's New Jack with a beer bottle. The guy's face is just full of blood. I said, oh, boy. So, but, like I said, if you've been around New Jack, everyone sees him. He's this big, violent guy. Dude, I'm telling you, learn psychology from him is great. It's gravy. It's something unique because, like, everyone sees him like this big, violent. I'm like, just sit down and listen. Like, if you listen to him talk and listen to talk psychology, it's like, wow, like he blows your mind.
That's the thing with the new guys today coming up into the business. You need to go into the locker room. You need to sit yourself next to these veterans and these like Hall of Famers and stuff, guys that have been in the business 15, 20 years. You need to listen to them. Have them, like, I can't tell you how many times I've been at matches and I'd have young guys come up to me and say, and they respect, hey, sir, can you watch my match and critique it for me? And it's like, I'd be happy to do that,
Look, God rest the gentleman's soul, Rock and Rebel.
Yeah.
There's plenty of shows that he was on with me. And I would go out there and be like, hey, Rebel, can you watch my match for me? And, he would watch every match. And I wouldn't ask what I did wrong. What I did right, I would ask what I did wrong. So
okay, and listen, but look, guys, this has been a great show.
Hey, can I come in here? Real quick, we got a couple questions here before we cut it down. So our first question is from Bob out there. What was all you guys' finishing moves?
Well, for me, it was the Hollywood neckbreaker. I would pretty much put a guy in the turnbuckle, and I would just do a little dance. And then drop them, and that was it. And then, put my feet on the ropes just to be a heel. Go ahead.
I actually didn't have one particular because of being a face and stuff. I had quite a few various finishing moves, but I will go on record, and there is video footage of this. I did the jackknife before Goldberg did.
Whoa.
I have video footage of like 3 or 4 different matches where I have used that move, and this is before Goldberg became on the scene.
No.
So, yeah.
I like it. Go ahead, Chio.
For me,
one of your moves didn't hurt me, but go ahead.
For me, particular, it was paying homage to one of my trainers and my very first match, which just happened to be against Damien. And he used to do a superplex, but he did it off the second rope. So I started doing it off the top rope. So that was like my go-to. I had other finishers, but that was my main finisher, was the superplex off the very top.
Wow, a superplex. Nice.
Yeah.
So the one I used to do that I don't do as much because I don't want to pick people up was a cow tip, but it was inverted. So like instead of your chest on me, your back was on me. I'd spin you out right to my knee. So give you a gut buster, or I would do what they call the Bailey finisher now that I've been doing for well over 10 years, where I hook you for the DDT in the face word, arm between the legs, and make you eat the mat. And now when I do it, everybody goes, "Oh, you do Bailey's finisher?" No, I do Dean Ambrose's because he started doing it first.
No, I know
before me, I guess.
It's so funny that we were down at ACPW, right? And it's so funny. So we got a bunch of these greenhorns we're throwing. We put in the ring. I get them to do drills, whatever. So the one comes up to me. I said, "Listen, we're going to, you do your little not student show, but you're working a little bit. Give them a little ring roll, whatever you want to do. Show them the moves." So the one guy's like, "Hey, can I do Mr. Kennedy's movie on you?" I went, "What the hell is that?" And he goes, "Oh, let me show." I said, "No." He said, "You're not trying anything I didn't teach you. No, you're not doing whatever the hell the Mr. Kennedy's move is." But I've seen one guy go up to Slot and goes, "Here, let me hit you with a shovel." Slot said, "You hit me with that shovel, I'm going to bury you with that shovel." I said, I mean, I've seen guys who, you know, it's crazy. Like the wrestling world had to say. Nate, any more questions before we wrap it up?
Yeah, there is one, but I think we should let them soak on this one to the next episode. The question is, who are your greatest of all time, your GOAT talk? But I think that'd be a good one for next episode. Okay, because I think you guys could really dig deep into that. That's a long list of names.
It's too long. There's multiple.
You ever see that meme with Jericho where he whips out that big long list?
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah.
We could. That's another 3-hour show. But listen, for me, Frankie Frizzo, for Chio, well, Pat, you can call me that. Chio, for Dennis, for Jeff. Guys, this has been for Nate. Thank you for producing the show. Guys, till next time, we will be back here doing this again. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for joining the show. So, guys, stay tuned till next time. And tomorrow, I'll be back here with my Devro Sports crew talking sports as usual. And then Monday, we have the Devro Sports Monday show with Eric Rico. So, guys, have a good one.